Yeah.
Hey, how are you?
Good, thanks. How are you?
Good. I'm not sure if Henry from HUD will be on. I just sent him
I
a
did send him the
reminder.
link.
Yeah, and so if he's on, great. I know they're really happy. Oh, hi, how are you? So I know
Good.
he
How
was
are you
really
doing?
interested in attending. Yeah.
Yeah. Hi, Melanie. Nice to meet you. I'm Chris.
Nice to meet you also. Are you Chris?
Yes.
Hi. Hi, Chris. How are you? Hi, Ellen.
Hi,
And
nice
hi
to meet
again,
you.
Miriam. Nice to see you all.
Oh, look at this hair today. I don't know what happened here. It's like, you know what, it is what it is, right? I can see. Oh, whatever. I should put a hat on, right?
That was everyone's day. Beautiful out
It's a
today.
long day.
Yeah. Gonna make everyone.
I think Ellen said it well. My hairstylist returned from Florida. It was nice to see her for a hot minute.
Like, I don't even know what I did. No, but it's all good. It's great. And I know that Sylvia mentioned she wasn't sure whether she was going to be able to get on tonight. I don't know if she had contacted everybody else, but I said, that's, you know, this is good. We're all set. You know, we're rolling along. So, and how many do we have tonight, Chris?
We're still getting people registering. How we did the registration a little different this time, where it's a main list and then they get included on the emails. So it's kind of like rolling registration. I think it's been better this way, honestly, because
Okay.
people get the emails each time we have a class a couple days ahead of time as a reminder, and then have the opportunity each email to catch up on what they've missed so far. So
Oh, it's a really good point. Yeah. It's a good refresher.
yeah. Let me look. I'll pull up the total number, but I think it's like upwards of 170.
My gosh.
I know, and we still get people asking about it too when we do outreach events. We're at 180 actually.
Yeah. I have some ideas for when we do our fall workshop series that I'm going to try to add an incentive for City of Newburgh residents, small business owners that are micro enterprise. So I'm trying to pull everything together, and obviously I can't fund everyone, but I might be able to fund some people, you know, for their businesses. And so I'm working on how I would structure all of this if we were able to do it. But it might be kind of nice to be able to do that, you know, just to add, you know, something else, just to give people a little bit of a, you know, like a head start or an edge or something, you know,
Definitely.
for businesses. So.
One thing that we were talking about that I think would be cool to add as a kind of like a supplementary thing is business storytelling, or people like entrepreneurs telling the story of their business and how it got to be successful.
Oh, that's awesome.
And you can, you know, find examples for people, maybe people that might have had a criminal justice history, or people who might be part of like a different community, and kind of talk about their.
Yeah.
Those are just kind of like short kind of human interest things you can do as like supplementary things.
Yeah. It's yeah, it's almost like a peer to peer in some ways, or someone who's just going, there's no way I can do this. And then, like you said, somebody else goes, well, here's where I started. And so this would be great. Yeah. Oh, man.
Sorry about that. Melanie, you will have screen sharing capabilities, and I can keep an eye on the chat if somebody asks a question. So it may be on topic, it may not be. If it's not on topic and you want to answer it later, that's fine. Some people sometimes ask questions that you're going to get to in 20 minutes. They just don't know that yet.
I'm a teacher's kid. Interruptions are welcome at any second. I'm the kid who was raised, the hand goes up and just to test it. If it's okay with you, I'd love just to try sharing the screen, because
Yes,
Miriam, I did put it in our Google slide thing. I just put them together so that they're short slides. It's not really a heading or anything, but let's see. And sorry, I may need one of your expert helps for this. How do you hide the slide, this thing on the side?
bottom, you said the bottom, there's like at the bottom next to notes, there are
Yep,
the one
yep,
right that looks like a monitor.
yep,
Next one to the right, next one.
yep.
That one, click on that.
Okay, you're amazing.
There you go.
You're amazing.
Then you just press enter or arrow and then it'll move.
And just keep going. Yep. Thank
So
you so much.
press
It's
enter.
been,
Press enter just to see how it works.
I like your template for yours. That's a cool pattern.
oh, thank you so much.
No,
This is
enter like on your keyboard, enter.
I okay. Gotcha.
If you want to go back to where you were, you just press escape on the upper left.
Miriam, you're amazing. Okay, so now just go back to the bottom,
Yeah. And then,
all the way over.
yeah, and then you can click on the slide you want before.
Okay.
So escape or that. Yeah, that's good.
Okay, we'll get there.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Welcome.
It's been a little bit. I try and avoid PowerPoint. Is it okay too to ask people to introduce themselves? Are you okay with that? Because I think it's about creating connections.
Yes.
Love to know who is kind of in the room.
Yep.
Absolutely. I can say when I introduce too that this is going to be maybe a little bit more interactive and more.
Thank
Which is
you.
great.
Thank you so much. Hey, it's creating connections. We need to
Exactly.
we need to demonstrate the behavior, or it doesn't happen.
Exactly.
Thanks again for the opportunity to join you for this.
The pleasure is ours.
Yes, thank you for sharing your expertise and offering this with us. We're really excited.
I'm excited too, because I'm the introvert who's now not an introvert. So I really understand it from many perspectives, So
When I found out there was ambivert, I was jumping up and down because everybody was like, oh, you're an extrovert. You don't mind talking in public. I'm like, no, I hate it. It's just hard for me, but I do it, but like everybody else, I don't like it. And, but I really, really like my time alone. Really.
I also like the learned extrovert, that that it doesn't have to be a way that you're born to be, that you can kind of like learn to turn it on. And
so I think that's really where the ambivert comes in.
yeah,
It can be situational, and they like to call it omnivert, meaning you're an introvert, you're an extrovert, but that one they think they explain is harder to move back and forth. The navigation part that many of us don't. We like swimming in our own ponds.
well, I'm gonna get us started and start admitting people, if that's okay. And
Perfect.
just like I do have to probably excuse myself like 15 minutes in, if that's okay. The host abilities Miriam and Ellen both have right now, so they can help with anything you might need. So if everything's all set, I'll start admitting people and we'll get us started.
Awesome. Also, Melanie, there is how to view. Okay, there is a very short slide presentation I did at the beginning explaining who we are, what we do, and why we do it.
All right. Greetings, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight for a small business boot camp. For those of you who might be new, my name is Chris Morgan. I'm the adult programming librarian at the Newburgh Free Library. Thank you so much for joining us. Just a couple of housekeeping notes. We are keeping attendance for small business boot camp now, so we appreciate it if you can make sure your name in Zoom is your first and last name, so we have it for attendance records. Also, if you've missed any of the classes in our small business boot camp, you'll see in the emails we have links to recordings that you can watch, so you can watch the recording later on. And just to remind you that this will be recorded as well for those who can't join us this evening. And if you can turn your camera on, this class is going to be a little different. It's all about creating connections. So it's going to be a little bit more interactive than some of our classes have been, which is exciting. And other than that, things are pretty much per usual. But I'm going to turn things over to Ellen from the city of Newburgh.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Thanks, Chris. And I wanted to introduce myself again to people that haven't been here. My name is Ellen Philo. I'm Director of Community Development for the city of Newburgh. And we're so excited to have you here as another one of our small business boot camp workshops, creating connections with Melanie. I can't thank enough our partners from Small Business Administration, from the Newburgh Free Library, and the Small Business Development Center. There is absolutely no way we could have done this. And with that, I'm going to pass the introductions along to Miriam with the SBDC.
Hi, everyone. So for those who are new, the Small Business Bootcamp began as an idea to provide a place for those who wanted to start a business and those who are looking to expand their business or want to, educate themselves about how to better their business, right? So there are a host of different topics, and tonight we are looking at a topic that will help us create connections. We have a whole bunch of other recordings. We've been doing this. We have like a dozen recordings now, so you can go look at the library and really there's a long list of wonderful, wonderful presentations, everything from business law to how to do projections, to marketing, branding, food, so on and so forth. So this event is made possible thanks to the Small Business Development Center, who provides no-cost one-on-one business counseling to new and existing businesses. We are funded by the Small Business Administration, which is a federal program nationwide. Every state has SBDCs. In New York, there are 22 centers, and the Mid-Hudson covers 6 counties with as many counselors and satellite offices. And of course, the city of Newburgh made it possible, and the Newburgh Free Library and Orange County Chamber of Commerce. So without further ado, I'm going to pass this my baton to Melanie, and she will introduce herself. And again, you're encouraged to put your camera on. This is more of a interactive rather than a lecture type series, and you will, it'll be nice to see who's here and create connections. Go, Melanie.
Hi, Miriam. I just wanted to let everyone know, and Melanie, that we also may have another attendee, Henry Comas from United States Department of Housing and Urban Development, and he just mentioned that he's having some connectivity issues. So if he does come on, we may just have him introduce himself as well.
That is fantastic. And thanks, Dimitris. I'm sorry for messing up your name, and thanks for kicking it off in the chat. I'm a teacher's kid, and I don't know about you. It's been a long, long day. So let's ramp up our energy a little bit and spend some time together and see how we can help you grow the business of your dreams that you're thinking of building, or the business that you will build. So I'd love to know from you, please introduce yourself. Let me know where you're from. Let me also know if you're in the process of starting your business, or you think that's something that's coming up later in the year or in 2023. Thanks, Michelle and Kerry, for having your cameras on. Woot woot. I'm an energy girl, and that really means this is about creating connections. It's all about you, and it's all about trying to help you. And I'm coming from a very different perspective. I was what they call an introvert when I first started, probably almost 20 years ago. My first networking event, somebody said, you need to learn how to speak to people. It's really funny. We all have to kind of find our voice. If there's anything I can do today to help you find your voice or find places to create connections, I would love to help you. So let me know if you're thinking about a brick and mortar business, if you're maybe not sure what type of business you're planning on starting, if you're thinking about direct sales, or you want to delight us with a food or culinary business, or if you're like me, which 20 years ago, I wasn't really sure where to start. So I'd love if you'd feel free to share in the chat. Hi, Elizabeth. No worries. No worries. Feel free also just to let me know in the chat, or unmute yourself and let me know where you are, because what you say will definitely help someone who's watching us in a recording. They're joining us in their morning, in their afternoon, in their evening. So let's help give them some great energy, because creating connections, I wish I could say it was so easy. I wish I could say it wasn't work. And I wish I could say that sometimes when you're trying to create connections, you're not in the process of doing something else on a really long day. So thank you so much, Michelle and Kerry, for the cameras, and for those who will turn on their cameras later. So no one has a business idea yet of the business they want to start. You're maybe in the early phases or the early stages, and that's okay. We're here to help you get started.
Hi, my name is Lisa Daniels. I am the founder of Lionheart Society. It's a coaching and consulting firm which focuses on 3 key areas for men and women: career, marriage, and parenthood. The mission or vision of the company is, in my opinion, those are 3 key pillars in order for someone to lead a successful life, regardless of whether you're married or having kids. You first got to be able to take care of yourself, kind of like on the airplane, put the face mask on first before you take on a whole husband and some babies. And so ultimately, if a person decides to get married and have kids, we want to keep them married and be in a healthy whole, part of a healthy whole family. So I kind of feel after taking an abundance of classes that I have a lot of the big rocks, right? So I've established a business, I have a website. But after talking to one of the county counselors here in my small development, in my small development center here, as many of you can attest, maybe that this is definitely a marathon and not a sprint. So it can be sometimes easy to get discouraged. So I'm definitely thankful that I've known about the Small Business Administration for a long time, but this is my first interaction with seeking their assistance to help a longtime business learner actually learn how to run a business. So I have all the theory, but not necessarily in the practicality. So that's what I'm seeking now.
Well,
Thank
Lisa,
you.
you're definitely in the right place. Thanks for unmuting your mic. And I would encourage us, as we're having this conversation, feel free to raise your hand, to use either the reaction keys that are down at the bottom if you want to raise your hand, or as I'm asking questions, feel free to do what Lisa just did. Would anybody else like to introduce themselves before we get started? Okay. I promise you, I always have a 10-second rule, and I know sometimes it's challenging on virtual. And Karen, thank you for that smile. It really keeps us going. And Carrie, thank you so much. So Carrie says that Carrie is a freelance writer, which is amazing for fun, which Carrie's done for years as a side gig, and would like to grow her freelance work, which is why Carrie is doing the program. Carrie's also working on a small website that she's finishing up, and she's looking to either make it an LLC if needed or have room to grow the side hustle, so to speak. And Carrie, thanks so much for sharing that. I really understand that. That was me in the beginning. It was a side hustle, and I wasn't really sure where it was going to lead. And thank you both for kicking us off both ways. One in chat, one by just sharing your amazing voice. So really appreciate it. And please stop me as we're going, because boy, this is really all about you. So one of the things I would love to say to you today is that not only is creating connections about you and where you want to start, but we're going to do a couple of things today. One are the introductions that we just did. One is really to think about the types of connections that you're trying to build. And I'd love to share with you a 4-step process for doing that. And we're going to talk about some objectives as you're building your business, as you're building a brand, whether it's a personal brand, a professional brand, and hopefully for some, as you're building teams to help support you in that business of your dreams. As Lisa was saying, as a coach, one of these days she's going to need lots of staff to help her, whether it's a virtual staff, whether it's an in-person staff. So think of that team building as part sometimes of the creating connections. It'll kind of make it seem a little less daunting later. As Lisa was saying, it really can feel like you're climbing a mountain. No one wants to feel like that. So we want to do it in a way that has tremendous, tremendous support for you. So I'd love to thank you today for joining us for Creating Connections. And I know we talked a little bit about today's plan, and today's plan will be discovering who else is in the room that you'd love to connect with. We heard stories from Carrie. We heard an introduction from Lisa about where she's at. You heard a little bit more from Miriam about the amazing resources that the SBDC offers, and you're going to find lots more resources as a result of this amazing series, whether this is your first time popping in or whether you're revisiting a presentation. So I like to think whenever we're creating connections, that there's always somebody in the room that we'd like to connect with. Over the years, and I'd say it as an introvert, I learned that it can be broken down into 3s. Try and find one person who you'd like to discover more about. Try and find someone who might be a good mentor, a good coach, somebody who maybe mentioned something of interest that you'd like to follow up for. Some of us are lifelong learners, are the ones who are always looking for things to just like open doors. Others are looking for invitations. And sometimes you'll have people who will invite you to events or to presentations. One of the cool parts is, and I'd love to know in the chat, is where you're from. Are you in Orange County? Are you in other counties? Are you interested maybe in meeting people that are in other areas? In the beginning, when I started out, I was thinking of local. Now it's funny years later to be thinking of, and often meeting people who are in other countries. So it's kind of a cool thing. And it might happen in Lisa's business, as she was mentioning about being a coach. So once we finish talking about kind of who you'd love to connect with, and in some cases, you maybe are looking to connect with mentors. You're looking to connect with coaches, with potential funders, with people who can introduce you to people who can help you fill out grant applications. Or maybe you're looking for new team members. Very cool. Charles County, Maryland. I've got a lot of Maryland family there. And for the Newburgh people who are typing in Newburgh, think of hanging out at Newburgh Illuminated. It's an upcoming event that's coming up. I think it's on June 4th, if I remember correctly. And that same weekend, it's kind of a run around the county weekend. That next day, there's an amazing Riverfest in Cornwall. If you're looking for resources or looking to meet people who might be, and thank you so much for that fantastic Newburgh Illuminated Festival link there. It's a great place as you're trying to meet others in the community, as you're trying to locate other resources, as you're trying to have conversations. But in that process of discovery, we're going to talk about a 4-step process. Why 4 steps? I'm a teacher's kid, like I said, and you'll laugh because mom and dad are here, so they'll laugh at that. But I think that creating connections, the really important part of it is create connection, energizing connections. You want to be around people who kind of give you the energy you need to develop your business or to explore a challenge or a problem, like Lisa was just mentioning, possibly starting places and knowing that you need more help. We need people to help us with that energy part. So I like to think about it as creating energizing connections. And in the process, we're trying to create relationships, but do it at your own pace and at your own rhythm. And the really important part is in your own voice. Sometimes we're asking for help from team members because they help us speak a language we don't speak. They'll help us close a piece of business, meet a potential client, discover an opportunity that we need. But that 4-step process, it popped up in my mind because I was thinking about, connections. If you thought of connections as trying to create a dream vehicle for your perfect passengers, whoever that is that you want to get in the car, is it, I don't know, is it a luxury car? Is it a hybrid? Does it have a lot of bells and whistles? Think of that the process of creating connections as trying to create a dream vehicle that others would love to hang out and drive in. And a really good example of that, years ago, I met Miriam when Miriam was presenting at Mohonk Mountain. Beautiful, beautiful place. I didn't know where I was going, so I was grateful. A connection invited me to carpool. It removed the pressure. You're sometimes tag teaming, and this person was a mentor, and her husband became a coach of mine. And she kept saying, "You need to hang out with me. I've lived in the county longer than you have. I can help you open doors. I can help you find potential clients or discover resources. And I know you say you're busy, but you're not too busy for a new client." And one day I stopped arguing with her. I stopped resisting. The introvert in me said, I will offer to pay gas and tolls, and let's go wherever Susan wants to take me to go. And that's how I met Miriam. And Miriam that day had a microphone in her hand. And I kept thinking, what an amazing presentation. I'd love to know more about her. You know what's really funny? We reconnected probably about 10 years later. So sometimes it takes time. And you're not sure that person's going to get in your car. You're not sure you're going to be in a car with them. But the thing about it is really think of that dream car as a part of your business. Where do you want to go? Who do you want to hang out with? The other part about that, we'll talk about it later, is some objectives as you're building your business for your business and your teams. And those, I changed and adapted them a little bit for today, because as we're starting, we really need to think of the alignment piece and just how to line stuff up. And as Lisa was saying, it doesn't always make sense. As Kerry was saying, she's starting with something that's fun. So how does she turn it from a side hustle to whatever she's dreaming of it being? The next part would be awareness, which many of us in the world we're living in, whether we're doing it online and in person, we need to know more. Another objective is interact, which is maybe our connections, how we're hanging out on social media. We go to the Newburgh Illuminated, who we're meeting, who we're hanging out with, what are our goals, maybe how we follow up. Another one is Ignite, which, while observing every fire safety law possible, how do you light things up? Because relationships sometimes can, they can feel like a freezer. You know, we're not really sure that person we met is going to become a connection later, that we're going to ever have another conversation with them. And sometimes it takes a little help to kind of warm things up. Another thing about creating connections, and especially in today's world, and I added this and kept this here, is for many of us, the business, the solutions that you're going to offer, the help that you're going to want to do, in a sense, eliminating isolation is really an interesting part of how to create a connection. It can really occasionally be challenging. So whenever, sometimes you need help, sometimes you need to tag team, sometimes you need to hang out. And the resources part that I wanted to mention is always, as we're creating connections, think of communities to go hang out with, where the types of people, if you're into eco-friendly items, or if you're into music, that Cornwall River Fest is a great place to go to listen to music, whatever your interests are. Think of communities, think of events, think of organizations that'll help you stay connected to help you build the business of your dreams. And I'm really excited because more talented potential business owners are joining us. So welcome if you're just popping in now. This is Creating Connections, and it's all about helping you create connections. You'll find when you tune in later to the recording that Lisa has already introduced herself by taking herself off mic and letting us know who she is, the business that she's building. And Kerry has kind of kicked us off in chat by letting us know that her business, it's currently a side hustle right now. So if you'd like, feel free as we're going along to share stories, because really what you do and how we're taking steps, there's somebody else along the way that you're going to help create connections. Out of this today's plan, we're probably going to spend the most time talking about alignment, which will really be something for you to revisit how you line stuff up. So we're going to go from creating cars to objectives to helping you create connections. And thanks so much, really, for joining us tonight. So this, in the beginning, for many of us, is where do we begin? And where do we start? So that first part that we're going to think of in the cars, in that 4-step process that's going to help you start to engage people, start to reach out, is think of that first step. This is not clear. It's not easy. And I found in the beginning, for me, this was really about eliminating analysis paralysis, or eliminating perfection paralysis. I'm at my parents' tonight. I packed a ton of stuff to come hang out with my parents and my brother. I forgot my lipstick today. It's the reminder, lipstick or no lipstick, we're showing up. And I'm laughing because Miriam's got her hands like this, lipstick or up, we're showing up. So I could have gotten in my head and said, oh, I need to go to the store, I need to go this, I need to go. We try, as we're creating connections, try to stay present. People call it authentic. Really, just be you. I know, Kerry, you look like you're riding away. If anybody has any questions too, feel free to stop me as we're going, because I'd love to hear what you're thinking of. So for the cars part, you're going to notice the words on the left, not totally lined up. You can notice these green words. And as we're thinking about cars and that dream vehicle, think of it as your vision. Think about it as communication, whether you're doing it in writing, whether you're doing it online, whether it's on a website, on a presentation, in a conference, in a note. Another cool thing about creating connections while we're talking about communication is How many of you have received a handwritten note recently? A handwritten card? Somebody stopped and kind of took the time to let you know and let you know that they were thinking of you. It's a great way as you're communicating. Maybe you met somebody did something exceptional. Thank you notes go a really long way to helping you create connections. And the other word is generate. People always think of this part as a revenue part, but I really think of the generate part as the results. They're kind of the engine of your car. The solutions part, you'll see it says analysis. We looked at that previous slide, and really, it's about getting out of our heads when we're creating connections. I could say in the beginning, and friends will laugh now, I never had an elevator pitch. They say you should always have one, just like the lipstick that I forgot to pack. Something that describes who you are, what your business is, how you want to help people. And think of the part of driving the cars. It's your vision that's going to kind of get you there. What lanes you're interested in traveling in the dream vehicle that really your clients or your connections are kind of driving. They're the ones who determine whether you're going to take another step or not. We'd love to think it's us, but in reality, and the interesting thing is others always determine our relevance. Lisa, yes, I am sharing these slides with Miriam, and they'll be able to reshare them. You'll notice also on them that our conversation will be part of that. So please keep popping in to let us know what you're thinking. The results part here of the car is really what people are going to think about. But really the clarity is that part. Kind of if we were Superman or Superwoman or Supergirl and we had X-ray vision, the clarity part is something really that sometimes you don't necessarily have to invest a lot into. You might be able to find an amazing mentor, you can find an amazing coach, you can find somebody to help open doors. But the really big part about your vision is we have to get really comfortable about letting other people know who we'd like to be introduced to or how we want to help others. So think about that part in the clarity when you're planning your strategies. What problems do you want to help people solve? Where do you want to help them solve them? And why? Those could be things that eventually you're communicating to others, which is kind of the action step of designing your processes. That takes a little bit more in terms of investing. You're investing something in that process, unless you're attending an event as a volunteer, or an event where you're maybe tag teaming with somebody else who had an extra ticket. One of my clients recently, she said somebody called her and said, I've got an extra ticket to a $3,000 event. Can you go? And she almost said no, but she heard the topic. She said $3,000 for an event. She had to check. She needed a babysitter. She needed to clear her schedule. And I talked to her as she was about to set an alarm, because the next morning she was getting up at 6 a.m. to go drive. She felt like she was missing part of the event. But she's like, this is a 4-figure investment. I never would have gone. And the cool part is someone else had the vision to invite her. And that person knew it was their first chance to meet in person. They'd been communicating online for like 2 years. They had never met. So she says, I'm getting a hotel. I'm, doing my tune up in my car. I'm going to take her out to dinner. She brought the thank you gift with her. That those little things help us create connections and differentiate ourselves from others. The results part, as you're starting, it can seem hard to measure, but the results are you attracting the connections you'd like to meet? And another hard part of this is whether people are keeping their promises. Sometimes someone says, hey, I'll introduce you to somebody. If I'm planning on introducing you, I'm writing that email shortly after we talk. And I love this. Lisa said, finding a mentor, asking for referrals and coaching was a part of the homework. How do you identify the right person? Lisa, that's a fabulous question. So I found for me, in terms of mentors, I've been really lucky. Some people have volunteered to mentor me without me knowing I needed help. And another part is there's a business, I think it's BMNY. I forgot the website. I should have looked it up. But there's a Business Mentor New York resource. I'm actually registered with them. It's in, and I apologize, the link is in my LinkedIn profile towards the bottom, but I'll try and share that in chat shortly. The other part of what you're saying, Lisa, is how do you identify the right person? We don't know. So the thing I would suggest is getting a team, is finding a bunch of different mentors, because if one isn't the right fit, if the other isn't the right fit, that maybe another one is. Karen, you're nodding your head. What you think? You're listening to great music. Do you have like you have like an intuition when you meet somebody that they're like the right or perfect person for you?
No, I'm just listening to what you're saying, and I can't stop moving my head.
No worries.
But
Well,
yeah,
thank you so much.
I think that's a great start, even though I don't know anything about it. I'm a stay-home mom for now. I'm from Colombia. I moved in New Birth from Brooklyn 5 years ago. And, I'm trying to do something since I'm home and I want to create my own business, but I have no idea. And, that's why I took the leap to take these classes and see what I came out with.
Karen, you're reminding me, in terms of connections, one of the organizations that is local, that I love to hang out with, and they're on Facebook, is Latinos in Business Succeeding Together.
Okay.
They have events all around Orange County, and I'm a Bronx girl. What I love is an extremely welcoming organization to all,
Okay.
of all ages, and most of their events don't require an investment. And some of their events you could bring your family.
Oh,
So you have a
great.
chance to meet. Yes, a lot of family oriented events. One of the things I love is one of the board members, Sandra Salgaro. I had the opportunity at their events to volunteer with Sandra's children. So a good place, and something, many of the organizations are family friendly. Many of the events are family friendly. They have things for your children to do and enjoy while you're meeting and building and expanding relationships. And Latinos in Business Succeeding Together is having an event on May 26th at the Brotherhood Winery. I'm going to be there. If you come by, come say hi. And there's a link, but you have to register online for that particular event.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. So one of the things, as we're talking about the objectives, and the first one on the list was alignment. And for alignment, many of us, as I was saying before, we learn differently. We pick up information differently. And this happens too when we connect. That solitary person who might be in the corner, or who's in a presentation or quietly taking notes, they may be an introvert. That introvert could be, somebody who might be shy, might have a shyer style. But I learned in the process, if we frame our styles around creating connections. So we've got a bunch of styles, but I think of the styles as kind of a key to creating connections. And alignment, I think, is like a master key that helps with that. So if we are introverts, or if we are omniverts, which is like a mix a little bit of an introvert and an extrovert, and an omnivert, maybe it's kind of like introvert and extrovert are kind of two different shoes, almost two different shoes for us. And in addition to the omnivert, there can be an ambivert. They have both shoes, but they always have both shoes on. So think of the introvert as that shy person kind of hanging out. That omnivert is somebody who kind of maybe has some superpowers, but they don't always feel like they're in alignment. And the ambivert, they've got those boots laced up, or those Crocs, or their sneakers, or they just seem to kind of be able in certain situations to morph to whatever's happening. And extroverts, many of us know them. They seem outgoing, they seem expressive. But in the process, if we think of how our personalities maybe come across, in the beginning, I was always in the corner of a room. I would go for the buffet table. I had to go for the water. I would park. I would arrive early. I'd park as close as possible because I didn't want to get lost. I wanted to make sure I could get a seat. You know, you never know if there's a long line, but as we're learning in the world that we're in, as we're learning about each other and we're learning more about each other's styles, it'll help us maybe create a connection. There may be somebody, and I mentioned Sandra from Latinos in Business Succeeding Together. Sandra is my networking buddy who has a designer bag on, you know, and she's amazing. If she hears something, she'll let you know in a minute that you were heard. And I think sometimes these learning styles can kind of be a kind of a tool in your toolbox to help you build connections. You can decide when you go someplace to only meet 3 people. So maybe you're looking for somebody else who was like me, hanging out in a corner. On the other hand, if you're an extrovert and you're feeling it, maybe you're going for the center of the room. On the other hand, at events like Newburgh Illuminated, there'll be people with demonstrations. If you're a person who learns a lot by touching stuff or by a demo, that's a great place to go to make connections. You'll know the person who's doing the demonstration, they are telling people how to do it. They're listening and answering questions. They're showing you with their hands. They're maybe explaining it in a real logical way. If you watch a demonstration, it really gets you and you really learn what it is. You're probably watching somebody really good with all of the learning styles. If these are superpowers of yours, raise your hands or let us know in chat, because you're definitely a person who's going to find it's easier for you to use that to create connections. In the chat too, feel free to let me know what do you think your learning styles are? And Lisa was mentioning coaching. And Lisa, I know it's complicated because you got a bunch of different clients, but how do you like coaching, for example, which is an industry that we both share? Is there a way that you try to help your clients based on their learning styles?
So I'm actually in the process of gaining clients from a clientele perspective. It's mostly was from the program that I attended from Georgetown. But one thing that kind of stuck with me in the program is with Georgetown, their practices, the client always knows the answer. You're just kind of the facilitator. So I think it works well with my personality. Well, I don't want to come off brash. I'm like, it's your life. I'm just kind of here to bring out, you know, the best in you that's already there, kind of, if you're brave enough to do so. So I guess in that sense, I'm very neutral. And I feel like I have to be, because coaching can at times be very emotional for the client. So I don't want to, I guess, invest in that way, because I want to leave it there kind of in the session, because I am a person that I can take that kind of stuff with me if I allow it. But I do love when they get that kind of aha moment and they're like, you did that. I'm like, no, you you did that. You know, I was just kind of here. So that's the charge I get from coaching, and which is why I want to make it a lifetime effort.
So it can be a field where using all 7 of these styles is a really quick way to build connections. And I love it because Elizabeth said her learning styles are visual and physical, and she doesn't have a business yet, but she'd love to be in the pastry or in the baking business. So Elizabeth, you're helping me because you're visual, and in some cases, say one of these days you've got a YouTube channel and we're tuning in to see what delicious dessert creation you're helping us create for Mom's Day weekend or for a family dinner. You might really have a chance to try the physical perspective of showing us how to mix ingredients or how to use tools. It may be a way to help you also build connections. Those of us, the minute I touch flour, I am an accident waiting to happen. But there's somebody out there who you'll be able to help select ingredients or learn how to substitute stuff. Say we forgot to buy some, we forgot to buy an ingredient, or you can help us learn ways to create delicious creations. And thank you so much for sharing those. Anybody else have learning styles that you think might help you in the business that you're in? Kerry, and I know Kerry, you were talking about in terms of writing, which of these learning styles do you think will really help in terms of that?
I'm a little bit of both, I think. I definitely more oral probably. I like to do phone interviews as opposed to sit down if possible. So I just think it's better to, you know, kind of like reading a book versus watching a movie. Very similar, where it can be the same, you know, you can read the same thing or listen to the same movie or whichever, but you get a different image in your head. So I think it's a little bit of both for me.
Yeah, I think one of the gems as you're saying this are the ways that you'd like to work with your clients, but the ways that you'd also like to build connections. In the beginning, I drove by myself, always solitary. I was the introvert, needed to kind of get my game face on, you know, wasn't necessarily feeling the long lines, the long crowds. But I always had a pen and a piece of paper. I would hear something and need to take a note. But I learned also in the process, I am not necessarily an auditory learner. You know, my brother or my family that I'm around, I'm the one, my brother's got those great Cuisinart knives. I have to stay away from them. You know, there's some of us who we learn in different ways. And the learning part, I think, is a really big key to how we can create connections, whether we're creating a relationship that somebody doesn't get in contact with us for 3 months, 6 months, a year, more than that. I think the cool thing is, and I appreciate everybody's feedback as we're doing this, is it's really individual. Think of your learning styles kind of as superpowers. Think of them as you're lining them up like a magnet almost that can attract ideal clients, referral partners, strategic alliances. and people who can help us build the business of our dreams. And in the process of this, think of the signage that goes along with these, because people don't know. We may have a name badge on at an event. You may have a sign on your car, or your vehicle is airbrushed, or the name of your business is on it, which will help others identify who you are. And I'm really grateful to the teacher who happened to be a DJ who shared this great picture of the learning style. So thanks so much for your feedback and for sharing it. So another part of the alignment part, and you're going to see this in the handouts that you get later, is if you think of the clarity part, which said before it was the plan part, this is the creating our dream vehicle. And if you think of the design part as kind of that action part that we talked about, and the attract is the results part, and the refine, in the beginning, it's almost impossible to do this because we don't have enough experience sometimes as business owners. Lisa mentioned, working on, early in her business, trying to meet and find the ideal client who'll hire her. So later, we can definitely come back to this one much later. And if you have any questions later on, please let me know. These are just ways to think about how to take the cars and create action steps that help you go to where you want to go. The other part that I think is kind of interesting about styles, and we talked about learning styles, is some of us have different engagement styles or different personalities. We talked about that before, whether we're an introvert, whether you're an ambivert. Is anybody an extrovert who's joining us today? I can be. I am right at the moment. As soon as we're done, I'm going to go back. You'll see I'm in a really cool chair. I'm going to go back to like totally quiet. It'll be the introvert back in her total shell, in her turtle shell. I know everybody's laughing. I appreciate you. The other way, and really, as we're talking about all this, I really just wanted to kind of help you. So are you at the point, like Lisa said, of Lisa's looking for her first client? She's trying to figure out, who to connect with, how to connect with people to help. But for each of us, there's a way that we like to help others solve problems. And I think that part underneath this all, that's the part of creating connections. We talked about the alignment part, and that's really just lining up our styles with maybe the styles of people we're hoping to meet. That person at a networking event in the corner is not always an introvert. I was in the beginning. Now friends will say, I sometimes can be found in the center of the room. It's not always comfortable. Have to move out, need a little break, need to decompress, right? You need to step back. But if you think of alignment of our engagement styles, our personalities, people like to talk about this. Oh, I love this. And I would truly love if you could unmute, because I do not want to butcher your beautiful name. Oh my goodness, what a gorgeous name. Okay. Do you want to help? Do you want to help me? Give me a phonetic key, or you?
Okay. All right. My name that you're looking here, it says Iyamile, and it's a Yoruba name actually, but it's the name that I always use on my front page there. But my true name is Lourdes Serrano. But all my social media, you'll find me by Iyamile Yalorde.
I am going to look you up, because I absolutely love, because it almost sounds like, you've got a stage name, right? And we can also call you Lourdes. So thank you for opening that up. So
Oh.
Lourdes, tell us about what you wrote, because I think that's fantastic.
Okay, well, what I was saying is I'm very visual and physical as well with my hands, and this is how I learn. That's my learning pattern. But I'm also kind of logical. Like once I see certain things and certain patterns falling in place, I can like run with that. What I would like to do as far as a business that I would like to start is I would like to have like a YouTube channel, SD, and all these social medias where you can actually have a platform and try to sell herbal products. However, I know I've been up in Newburgh for a long time now, maybe 14 years, but I also come from the Bronx. And I really don't have any connections here with anybody, even though I've been here for so long. And so I'm looking for a herbalist. And I know they have classes online, but they're very expensive. And right now I'm not working, so I can't afford them. And it's just someone that can mentor me as to how the products can get done, where they're being done to the best capacity, so that if I'm selling them, it's not something that's going to create a problem, get mildewy very quickly, because even though it's not so much to learn about it, there are certain tricks that if you happen to know these things, you'll save the product, because if not, it becomes compost. And I just can't afford to have everything go compost when I'm not even working, you know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm looking for. So if I can find a mentor, I did go to Newburgh Library, had a, I think it's called the Armoire. And they have a place there where they have a couple of herbalists. I do have an appointment to go see someone in gardening, but I don't know if they have a person that would actually become a mentor, you know, that I can go under their wing with this. And let me tell you, I've been online reading and learning about herbs. Yesterday, I was collecting all the dandelions here. I even went to the neighbor. Going nuts with this herbal thing is driving me nuts. I got to do something with it. Nature is calling. How about that? I don't know what to say.
Well, it sounds like you have an amazing, amazing passion. So one of the places where I first had a chance to learn about people like the people that you're trying to meet was at Omega Institute. It's a beautiful place, and I was grateful as a board member. I'm on the board of Fearless Hudson Valley. We had a chance to go up to Rhinebeck, and I'm a girl from the Bronx too. The first time I did not carpool. The second time I did. It's a beautiful, gorgeous route, but the type of people that you're trying to meet, Omega kind of cultivates that. There's also online on Facebook, there's a group called Sustainable Hudson Valley. And there are a lot of local events in Orange and in Dutchess County where you might be able to meet a mentor. I can think also, as I mentioned before, Latinos in Business Succeeding Together is another resource it's a tremendous community where I've been lucky to find great clients, great coaches, and it's pretty local. And I think also sometimes as you're experimenting, people who are maintaining community gardens, they kind of will speak your dandelion language. You know, it may not seem sometimes like the mentors are that easy, or that you're able to feel that you have the investment in it. But if somebody knows you're interested, sometimes somebody will help because they really need an extra set of hands. They really need somebody to help in their business. And from your passion, this is now your season. You're in spring. You're going to see people growing stuff everywhere. You're going to see people tending community gardens. I know in Cornwall, people like the collectives, the people who are at farmers markets sometimes, or the people who are actually, like, and Miriam or Ellen, please help me with this. Sometimes you go to like a collective, it's like a CSA, I forgot what the other initial was for it, but they're growing vegetables. You're looking for people who really don't mind getting dirty. They're, herbalists, you're creating natural stuff. So kind of hang out with your peeps. Either check them out in the group that's on Facebook, or reach out to me afterwards. I'll try and figure out a good introduction for you, and try and help you with some research. But I think, Lourdes, I want to thank you for helping me with your name, with your two names. And we're looking forward to your YouTube channel. What type of products do you want to create?
Creams, as long as everything natural and herbal is, but it's body. It's for your body, mind, and spirit. I mean, everything is going to be for creams for your face, spritz, things of that nature. And after a while, I would like to also teach, pass on the knowledge to whomever would like it. So.
Thanks for being really specific. I can think of 2 people to connect you with.
Okay.
And introduce you with. If you're online on Instagram, Made with Love Skincare.
Okay.
Michelle is I met her in a local group called Hudson Valley Women in Business, which, as you're building your business, is a great place to go. It's a great place for women entrepreneurs in about 8 or 9 different counties locally to kind of expand your business.
Right.
And Mercedes O'Malley runs Country Colors Designs. Those are 2 ladies I know who are creating natural products.
Yes.
They may be able to help, during their busy season, or as they're dealing with orders for like Mom's Day or during the summer.
Correct.
And skincare. And thank you, Carrie. Carrie's got check out continuing ed programs at the colleges.
Okay. Now, would you be able to, you said the young lady's name is Michelle?
So Michelle is Made with Love Skincare.
Okay.
And Mercedes is with Country Colors Designs. If you reach out to them online and say, hey, I met Mel, she says you might be able to mentor me.
I will. I will send you a referral.
No worries, because that's what it's about, really. What we're doing as we're creating connections, we're trying to help each other meet people, find places to share our stories, demonstrate our products, find great mentors and coaches, find people who are willing to invest to help us build our businesses, or great resources like through the SBDC, who can help put you in touch with other organizations, help you get to the point where you feel like you've got your business plan set, and you're all ready. But this part 2 is really what I was trying to talk about with alignment. It's how we can line our stuff up. And I know we spent a lot of time on it, and it's really because I think it's the unique piece. We think of planning in business, we think of all the structure stuff, but if you don't line it up so you have the energy to do it and grow it, networking can really feel exhausting. One of the other objectives that I'd love to talk to you about is awareness. And we're kind of talking about that in the process now. And whether we're creating relations in person or online. And Lourdes just mentioned social media, different rules on YouTube or on Facebook, which I'm spending a lot less time on, except in a community that I've built, or groups where there are people who love to teach. But the awareness part, we really need permission as we're creating connections. We need to have the patience that sometimes it's not the right time for the person we're trying to connect with. We need to respect our, each other's cultural boundaries, and respect each other's safety. You want to be safe in person. You want to be safe online. So as you're creating connections, Another thing is body language. And it's hard sometimes on Zoom. You know, people will say, and they'll laugh today, I am so using my hands. You know, it's how we communicate. If I was at an event, I wouldn't necessarily do this. You might get the introvert who almost looks like the Catholic Bronx girl in church. You know, it's how are you showing up? And that part of it, to really respect each other's signals, you know. One of the things I love that somebody helped teach me ages ago, there's a gentleman by the name of Robbie Samuels, and it's Robbie Samuels. And he's got a book about bagels and croissants. And it basically tells us that sometimes you see a group at an event and it's kind of a closed circle. You can't step into it. But you see another group that's open. There's a chance maybe to walk towards them, to approach them, to have a conversation. And he says, as opposed to looking for the bagels that are always closed off, when networking, he advises people, look for that croissant. There's an opening there. There's a chance to reach out and connect. So maybe those are some things just to think about in terms of awareness. The next objective. So we did alignment, did awareness. Next one is interact. This one, if I'm in an introvert mode, I'm going to be a deep listener. I'm going to be an active listener. You know, you're going to maybe look for cues. You're going to maybe observe before you jump in. You maybe pause before you respond. But when you're creating connections, interact is a chance to educate. Just like we talked before, Elizabeth's going to teach us how to bake so that I'm not covered in flour, right? And another opportunity to interact would be engage. Lourdes is going to teach us because she's going to have a YouTube channel. And Karen, who maybe at some point will teach us how not to be afraid to write or to share our words. And Carrie, you're going to share too, you know. And I mentioned Karen because Karen mentioned her mom was in Brooklyn. We have chances as we connect to educate. Maybe Lourdes is going to teach someone how to pick a dandelion and how to preserve it so it makes it for more than 10 hours. So that process of educating, you're going to try and open up what you're doing. Michelle, how are you today? Michelle, let us know a way we can help you.
Well, I'm introvertedly listening, and taking it all in. And I kind of do that in your 7 learning styles. I also was thinking I spill over into this sort of emotional, like the social emotional and being empathetic with others. So I don't have a business yet, but you know, things are turning in my head in terms of working with like preschoolers, because I'm a play therapist right now, and there's a lot going on for this little group of kids. And so thinking about creating, you know, visual tools and tools to help parents better connect to, you know, to the kids and what's going on for them. So, yeah.
That sounds like an amazing set of problems that you're going to help parents and educators solve. And I'm looking forward to what you create that'll be out in the world that others can play with. And you're reminding us, Michelle, in the process, you would be amazing with the next objective, which is ignite. Part of ignite is staying memorable, and part of ignite, lighting things up, as we said, within the fire safety rules, is how are you introducing yourself to others? How are you reaching out to them to kind of connect or follow up? Lourdes did a great example before. What are those 2 names you gave me? How do I find them? How do I get in touch with them? If they don't respond to me when I reach out, may I use your name? And I appreciate it. It's a style thing. Sometimes somebody's connecting and you'll find somebody who's really, really helpful. When I met Miriam years ago, I was terrified to go up and say hi. I was an introvert. Years later, Here I'm finding out Miriam and I were fellow introverts. I could have said, wow, I loved your presentation today. I love what you taught me about the counties around. I'm a Bronx girl. And here you are talking about how to explore the counties and more of New York. And I wanted to say, hey, you gave me an image of like different places to go and discover. So sometimes in that process, it might be the thank you. It might be the simple thank you note. And if you're not comfortable saying it there, as Lourdes said, hey, here's how you can find me on social media. You can find out if the person is on LinkedIn. You could ask sometimes, what's the best way to stay in touch? And in the process of that, to think of interact, because we really, and the awareness, we really need the permission sometimes before we can even take that step. The last objective that I wrote down is, and as part of Ignite, I forgot to illustrate, there's a way, Michelle just did it. She's painting a picture of who she'd like to meet. She's painting a picture of who she'd like to help. She just said it in a really cool way. Who wouldn't introduce her to somebody who was stuck and needed, maybe you see a sign outside of a play group and you're like, hey, Michelle, here's somebody to connect with who might help you design the services, which then become the beginning of the business of your dreams. The last objective, we talked about alignment. We talked about awareness. We talked about interact. We talked about ignite. The last one that I put there is about eliminating isolation. If there's a way that what you do helps others and a way that we can help each other do it while maintaining each other's privacy, while following our intuition. Michelle just did it in a really great way. Something about her body language. I could see it. We're the glasses girls, you know? And, you know, if you can help somebody kind of avoid overwhelm, it's a really cool way to kind of connect. Anybody else we can help maybe think of another way or another step to take towards, like Lisa said, towards finding a mentor, towards finding a coach. Lisa, I appreciate that. A glasses girl.
What about creating a small group even amongst your own peers right here? You know what I'm saying? Like someone knows something. For example, one of the things that I do know, I mean, I'm not putting like I'm going to make a business out of this, but I know Microsoft program ins and outs. I mean, from Word to PowerPoint to Excel, from basic beginners to advanced level. I've been using it all my life. I've worked in healthcare for over 35 years. So now I'm home, but you know, I have all this background in reference to this type of technology. And like, let's say Excel, if you're planning to open up a business, you're probably going to need to learn how to operate some kind of a system like that or an application like that, because it can help you to budget whatever it is that you're doing. So why not learn it now, and instead of waiting for when you actually need it, and now you find yourself trying to learn how to budget and then trying to learn how to use the program. So I don't know, maybe someone else knows how to do it and they can, you know, exchange, create a circle that you guys would have.
I think you've got an amazing idea. And the one that I really want to focus on before we break down some of the great ideas that Lourdes just gave us are Ellen and Miriam are gonna, there's a chance on June 16th to get together and meet live and in person with other people like yourselves who have gone through this series, who are watching the series remotely. And the coolest part is people are still registering. So I would encourage you, as we're here today, before we close out, even if you do it in the chat, and if you're not sure how to save Zoom chat, we'll definitely talk about it at the end. But I would put, while we're here, what are great ways for you to connect with the amazing people that we've had a chance to spend tonight with the others who are gonna plug into the recordings, into the replays, and think about it on June 16th, and no worries, no pressure for us introverts. You've got like 40 days. You don't, and you could, seriously, I'll try to locate some lipstick and join you that day. But you could put in the chat as we're doing this in a really safe, and that's the part that we really didn't talk about. As creating connections, everybody wants to feel safe. We want to feel comfortable. We want to feel supported. But you really, in the process, we want to feel and help each other as humans, as people, really feel valuable. So in the chat, maybe Lisa might say, hey, here's my website. And Miriam's putting here, June 16th is planned to be outdoors, protected from the elements. Lisa's putting her website in the chat. You rock. Anybody else on LinkedIn and want to connect? Carrie, I promise you, I am so going to accept your LinkedIn request. You're going to laugh. LinkedIn has kind of become my jam. It's my place to hang out. And you'll laugh when we connect, because I have to thank Miriam. There's an amazing interview from the SBDC that's on my page, thanks to Miriam, who I was terrified to speak with years ago. This is such a reminder when we're creating connections. We've got a lot of fear. We got a lot of anxiety. You know, we're not really sure where to take the step, how to take the step. But here we are in a place where, when you can, don't be afraid to ask that question. And Brandy, thank you so much for your comment. So Brandy, do you feel like do you want to unmute? You want to turn your mic? Hey, how are you doing?
Good,
How
good.
are
I
you?
joined a little late.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. This has been great.
Thank you so much. And thanks, sir. I'm telling you, I'm an energy girl. I have to, you know, this is the part in the beginning. I didn't know when I was creating connections. All of us have an energy. So thank you so much for your feedback. Tell us what you wrote, and tell us what type of business you'd like to start.
Sure. So what I'm interested in is, you know, I have an undergrad and an MBA, and I've focused on finance and accounting. And I'm a huge supporter of women's businesses, especially startups. And what I'd like to do is teach women how to run their businesses from a financial perspective, and teach them things like QuickBooks, teach them how to assess a P&L, how to evaluate investment, how to ensure they have appropriate cash flow. So, you know, I'm happy to put my information up, but it's definitely a passion of mine that I think a lot of women, as they have great ideas, and men have great ideas about starting businesses, they don't quite know the fundamentals of the financial aspects of how to run that business and to ensure that longevity and stability.
We don't. We don't. Everybody needs to know it, and everybody needs the refresher, and we need places like the SBDC and people like you who can help teach others confidently how to know their numbers, because it's such a critical part of our success.
Absolutely.
You know, it's you're getting some love in the chat, so I would check that out too.
Sure.
Anybody else besides Brandy who wants to let us know how we can help them, because you never know, if 100 and some odd people have signed up for, you know, for these recordings, there's somebody out there who maybe is interested in partnering with you, or interested in reaching out to you, or will kind of get in touch, because we're really here to help each other. And that really, I'm so grateful for that, because for Miriam and for Ellen and for this series, for them inviting me in to kind of share that. We all need help. We all need help. We all need ways to kind of keep moving and to keep learning and to keep growing. And for those of you who are popping in, who didn't catch us in the beginning, you know, we started out with a really simple plan. And today's plan was to introduce ourselves to each other and find ways to help each other, to talk about ways to connect So we talked about a 4-step process to do that. We talked about creating cars kind of for your dream vehicle, which were clarity, action, results, and solutions. We talked about how to tie that dream vehicle in and kind of use our styles to kind of differentiate ourselves. So when we thought of clarity, we're thinking of the vision part. When we're thinking of action, we're thinking of communication. We're thinking of results, and we're thinking of analysis, and we're thinking of solutions. It may take some more time to get towards more solutions, but towards creation. The thing I love is, and Lisa said it, the process of finding another mentor, or the process of finding a coach or somebody else just to help you open up a door or take a step. They're always in the room. And you have to remember that in rooms where you're surrounded by talented people from the library, when you're surrounded by the SBDC, when you have people from chambers. So we talked also about a bunch of upcoming events. Anybody else looking to connect or meet with somebody who maybe we can help them figure out where to go?
Okay. This is just a thought. Because I'm just not sure what it is I want to be doing. I get sort of lost between sort of the clinical piece, being a counselor, and sort of this business piece. So, people offering help, including yourself. Does that include like sort of understanding that sort of clinical service piece? Like I know it's going to be a business, there'll be a financials, but also it sounds confusing because I'm confused about it too, but.
You are so not confused. This is a Miriam question. That's why I can tell you that person is always in the room. This is a Miriam question.
Okay. Miriam?
Yes. Yes, the Miriam question. So we have actually a few recordings. If you are so inclined to go to the library website and look at those titles, there's one that is called feasibility analysis. And I take an example and build during that session a spreadsheet. And I really go line item by line item. And I believe that it's there's enough hand-holding in there that you will understand the idea behind looking and creating projections or looking at your profit and loss. And there's a story behind the numbers, but it's always scary at first because we don't know what that story is. So my pride and joy is to bring novices to look at their P&Ls every month and know what's behind it. So if you, so if watching that is not sufficient for you, if you want a one-on-one, tomorrow Chris is sending a follow-up email. Actually, this is for everyone. He's sending us a follow-up email with instructions on how to access the recordings, because you may have just joined us and you want to see what has been done in the past. And we have also a survey about tonight's event. We welcome your feedback because that's how we know what you want and how you like it. So we have learned a tremendous amount from those surveys, and our sponsors, the SBA, require that we have surveys. So it literally takes like a few seconds. We made it easy for you. But it's also a place for you to say what you'd like to learn and what type of training events you'd like to have, which helps us define because we're going to continue this program in the fall, and for as long as we can, and it'll be good to know what you guys like to hear and see and do.
Okay, thank you.
That was a fabulous, 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 fabulous question. And Michelle, thanks for that beautiful smile and for letting us know that. Would anybody else like to introduce themselves so that we can help you before we leave? And Lord, it's no joke. I promise to help you with those introductions to Michelle and Mercedes. So reach out. I did promise that. I like,
Thank you.
as you would say, we got to kind of
Thank you. I sent you my email in your,
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
Let's find each other on social media, because that's the way to introduce you to the other business people. So Sharnetta, Future, any other fellow introverts, extroverts want to unmute? Let us know a way that we can help you before we leave you today, or a question you ask will help somebody else who's listening on a recording. You'll help others really take a step and a step forward.
Hi, it's Sharnetta. I'm an introvert. I didn't unmute because my background is kind of loud with my kids. Sorry.
No apologies. Busy moms are always welcome. So Sharnetta, what type of business are you dreaming of?
Well, I have already started a business for my rental properties. I rent properties out.
Kind of like an Airbnb, or
No, they're long-term rentals.
Oh, very cool. In the Hudson Valley?
Yep, I live in Newburgh. I have one property so far, and I'm working on acquiring more.
Well, that is fantastic. Best of luck to you as you build the business. Are there people that you're trying to meet? Are you trying to meet people who can help you finance acquiring other properties? You're looking for introductions to people who might want to rent your properties? How are you finding?
Oh, well, right now, I have a renter. I'm not looking for any more renters until oh, I'm sorry, I have a phone call. I'm sorry, Melanie.
No worries. Life happens. This is a reminder, life happens. And thanks so much for unmuting. Anybody else that we can help before we go? I want to thank you for hanging out with me today as we talked about how to line up cars so you can create your business, your dream vehicle. So amazing people, passengers will come hang out with you during your journey, who you can help with your products, with your services, with your ideas. And we talked a lot before about ways to find mentors and coaches, and that may also be a great resource to reach out. I'm sure Miriam may have a training also on that. But the thing I'd love to leave you with is kind of where we started, which was create energizing connections and relationships at your own pace and at your own rhythm and in your own voice. And when you can, embrace opportunities within your business, your personal and your professional comfort zones. We have those things that we don't really want to move. You know inside from the instincts. And I'll say it as a girl from the Bronx. Mom told me, be careful who I sat next to on the bus and the subway. You know, you've got that Spider Woman or that superpower sense. And for the gentleman who may be tuning in to join us all later, we all have that. We've got some fear and anxiety as we're meeting other people, whether we're meeting them in person or online. And just stay safe, look out for each other. And I'm looking forward to cheering you on. And to, as Miriam said, on June 16th, there'll be an opportunity, if you haven't had a chance yet, to meet outdoors, you know, in a lovely space and celebrate as you're taking steps towards building your business. Thank you so much. And I hope you have a magnificent, magnificent evening. Stay safe, everybody.
Thank you so much, Melanie. Thank you so much.
thank you. Exactly
you.
where on the 16th? You said to meet outside, where?
It's
Is it
going to
Newburgh?
be at the Newburgh Free Library. We'll
Okay, thank you.
We'll email you the details. And to those who have we'll also ask those who want the certificate and who have attended all 6 sessions, whether in person or virtually, in, you know, watching the recording and then doing the little assessment. We'll let you know ahead of time, but mark your calendar. And thank you so much, Melanie, so generous of you to share your wealth of knowledge and the breadth and depth of what you had to share. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here tonight, and we'll see you in a couple weeks.
Thank you.
And if
Night,
you need
everyone.
to save the chat, if you need to save some of those notes, if you go into the chat, there are dots, you can go over and kind of save the chat, so you'll have each other's information and connections.
I'll give you a minute to do that, and then I'll stop the evening. Thank you, everyone.
Okay.